Well, hi, everybody. Have you ever asked ChatGPT, or now I understand ChatGPT 5, or any other AI chatbot, hello, AI, when can I retire? Are you really smart enough to create a detailed roadmap for me so I'll know that I'll never run out of money during my lifetime? There's this tendency we have to believe that you can just kind of rub the magic lamp and the little genie is going to grant you your wish.
Mm.
Well, maybe some of it is smoke and mirrors, and yet we are starting to really rely on artificial intelligence to answer some of our most important money questions. In fact, a survey from last year shows that nearly half of Americans said that they are already asking AI for financial advice. So here's the thing. AI always sounds confident. It sounds confident on every answer it gives you, even when it's wrong.
Mhm.
Now, one study found AI is giving incorrect answers about 35% of the time. And now we're talking about your money. This isn't like playing a game of trivia. This isn't a parlor game. So today, the three of us are going to break it down, and we're going to invite a guest in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about what AI can do for your financial planning, what it can't do, and how one highly qualified financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning is using it for his clients without it running the show. So before we get into the details, Richard and Terry, I know I have a feeling, Terry, you've got some strong opinions and something to say, so let's start with you.
Well, no, here's what I think we need to do. Let's roll the tape back, okay, and talk about what is AI and how do you access it. I'm actually going to leave the financial planning part to you, okay? But everybody, it's a buzzword now. AI, it's spending, it's moving the stock market. There's going to be energy. They need it. They know everything. It's like science fiction. They're going to come and get you. They're going to take over everything and all our jobs. Let's go back. Intelligence gathering for our generation started in the public library with the card catalog. Remember, you had a topic assigned and you went through the card catalog. Okay, along came like the World Book. It had all the intelligence in it, or the Encyclopedia Britannica. We couldn't afford the Britannica. We had the World Book, and then every year you got a new book, and it had all the new intelligence in the annual update. Okay, I always vowed I was going to read all those annual books. I never did get very far, but you had to search for it. And if you were searching for something like um, the Hoover Dam, you could find everything about that, but there was no place for you to say, and tell me about all the other dams in America or in the world, and how does it compare?
I've got news for you. And I want to get to Richard. I have pretended to be you on
What?
GPT and said, just kidding around. And I said, I want to pose some questions and write a couple paragraphs here on a particular topic. And I want you to sound exactly like Terry Savage would. And it comes back and it says to me, you know how you've done this before. And it says, how Terry's style, and here's her voice, and here's how she would say it, and here's what she's likely to ask.
So I actually just wrote a piece for MarketWatch all about using AI to help you with complicated financial decisions about Medicare, Social Security, and long-term care insurance. Before I get into what I learned, one thing I will mention is there are now seven big um, chat bots out there that anybody can use. ChatGPT is the most famous and the most popular one. And there's Perplexity. There's also Microsoft Copilot. There's Google Gemini. There's Anthropic's Claude. There's one from China called DeepSeek, which a lot of people like, but it has some privacy issues. But one of the things I found when I was doing my research was and I'll get to this in a minute when we talk more about Medicare, but when I was asking all the chatbots, the seven chatbots, the same question about Medicare, and I got different answers. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But Microsoft Copilot did something very interesting. They said, well, we can give you the answer in one of three ways. Which way would you like it? You can get the quick response, and that's in 2 to 3 seconds, and that's a very quick and dirty, but hopefully accurate, short answer. Or you can do Think Deeper, which takes all 30 seconds, but it's more detailed. Or if you really can wait 10 minutes, you'll get Deep Research, and that gives you in my case, like a 30-page report with much more than I even wanted to know. And it was all for free. So every chatbot does it a little bit differently. The one thing the chatbots don't know, no matter how good they are, is they don't know you. They may know how Terry Savage writes, but they don't know Terry Savage's financial status, concerns, income, and that's probably the way Terry Savage likes it. And most of
Yeah.
us don't want the world to know our financial details because once you put it out there to a chatbot, then you never know where it's going to end up.
Right, that's right.
So we're going to get to what it can and can't do, but I want people to understand it's great at giving you information and collecting data. It's not so good at personalizing it for you based on your
Right.
situation because it doesn't know your situation.
Right, that's right. Hey, guys, the day that I tell you that I'm doing some deep thinking, hold on for 30 seconds while I do that deep thinking. Just shoot me. Just put me out of my misery. Now, let's talk for a second about bringing it down to a practical level. Okay. Why does all this matter? I want to share with you that I've been using AI aside from just pretending to be Terry. I'm kidding. That's not creepy, is it? I didn't
It's
mean
Mhm.
so
it.
A little
creepy. I
bit,
can't
a
stand
little
it.
It's
bit.
not. I just wanted to see what
Did
it
you
would
really?
say.
Or
Yeah,
just
I
tease me?
wanted to see if it were right in your style. But
Oh
look,
my
I've
God.
been using AI on my own ever since it was, ChatGPT first, presented itself. And I'm going to tell you and share with you in terms of practical usages, especially with financial planning and so forth, um, what works and so forth. Summarizing information, like you said, Richard, oh my God, what a time saver. And just like you're both pointing out, but not for things like the following. You would think that it could create and work with my financial budget, right? Just a typical household budget. I'm going to tell you, there's so many flaws in the ointment. If you did not know and you did not go back and catch those errors, this thing kept making the same mistakes and then fixing the same mistakes over and over to the point where I was like this.
Mm.
And it kept apologizing. It said, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't go back far enough. The problem is that for things like, building a budget that you really care about, you're going to use it to decide how much you're going to spend every month. Either it oversimplifies the categories or it completely misses irregular expenses. So
Mm.
the budget test, sorry, the budget test failed. It fell apart. Now, that's just one task, building a budget and so forth. But what I'm trying to get at here is that we want to believe that it is the genie in the bottle and that it's going to take you in the right direction all the time, every time. But then there are other tasks that this thing does amazingly well. Like, for example, if I want to really understand a dense, heavily written financial report, it might be a fund, might be fact
Prospectus.
sheets, company earnings. It's going to put it into plain language. And I'm not kidding. You can just ask it, hey, can you put this in, eighth grade level, just
Mhm.
so you can, get it really, really fast. I'm going to run through with you really quickly from my own experience. I know we're early days here, the pros and cons so far when it comes to financial planning and tasks. So first of all, on the pros, fast. It's fast, it's organized. It's going to be so quick at crunching numbers, summarizing spending's okay, creating rough cash flow or retirement scenarios. Again, rough. Number two, it's going to be okay, but it's not going to be perfect and it's not going to be great for exploring what if scenarios. Modeling, planning, financial planning is all about what if scenarios. Like, what if I sell my house to downsize? And you'd want to know all this stuff without touching real money. But AI is going to miss a lot of things. So again, I'm never going to rely on it.
Do you think that maybe, so it's good to point out the things that might miss or get wrong? I mean, that's really important. But do you get the sense, because I heard head of OpenAI talking about within 2 years, it will it will
Of
perfect itself.
course. Oh, of course. I'm talking about right now for those of us today who are using it today, and we're starting to use it for financial planning today. So I'm looking at the pros and cons of where we are in early days, not where we're going to be.
Can,
It is
can I
a
just
yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to mention one thing about that for where we are today. For the article I did, I interviewed Andrew Lowe, who's a professor at MIT and expert in AI, and I asked him about these hallucinations, the word that you mentioned before, Pam, which is the word for when AI makes a mistake and gives you bad information. And I said, well, aren't the chatbots getting better so that don't we have fewer hallucinations now than we did a few years ago? He said, no. He said, we're actually in the second or third inning of dealing with
Yeah,
AI
growing
hallucination.
pains.
So a little better, but not anywhere where we want to be yet.
Yeah, growing pains. Okay, that answers the question there. Number three, I'm going to buzz through these really fast. Okay. Number three, it is a time saver for research. Oh my God, let me count the ways. AI is going to give me fast, instant summaries of tax rules. Again, I still have to double check stuff because it's not always up to date. Basics of Social Security or contribution limitations, things like that. But here again, I'm not counting on AI 100% of the time to be 100% right on all things because it isn't. So sometimes I find that I have to be the one to tell the AI what really is going on. I have to say to it, hey, by the way, did you know that you missed the house sale in my neighborhood when I asked you for comps? And you missed actually two home sales right on my street, which
Mm,
meant that it was giving me a number that was really way off.
right.
Okay, I also, like I said, fast data analysis, it can scan stuff really well, really complicated stuff. Great also for spotting patterns or summarizing complex financial data really quickly. Um, so for portfolio and investing, it can flag big price swings, changes in, say, sector performance, things like that, or and unusual volatility, almost like you have a real-time research assistant there for you. And again, some scenario modeling, but don't completely rely on it. It doesn't. Here are the cons. There's no real judgment involved. It doesn't understand stock market sentiment, global politics, or irrational markets. It's just going to analyze past data. And again, that can lead to a sense of false confidence. Some of the information can be outdated. So I want to say the biggest cons are three. It's, I'm going to call it confidently wrong, just as often as it's confidently correct. It's confidently wrong. It thinks it's so right. And it makes you feel like you get sucked into it that it's right. But there are going to be errors in calculations and all kinds of things. No emotional, personal context at all. Doesn't know what you're afraid of. Doesn't know your health. It doesn't know your life trade-offs. And it is going to give you a false sense of security. So you just got to know that going in with all of that. So let me ask you just quickly, because we have a guest coming up that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. But um, Terry and Richard, both of you are experts in Medicare Social Security. If you take AI's advice at face value, it could steer you wrong, especially on really big irreversible decisions
That's the
when to
point.
claim Social Security or how to
Thank you.
spend down your savings. Let me start with you, and then let me go
Yeah.
to Richard
I
right
don't get
after.
there yet, Pam. I don't, AI can summarize and manipulate information, but I don't think that for any major financial decision, it is reliable enough yet. It doesn't supersede human knowledge and research. And the key is, yeah, if you just told you, well, you don't have to worry about signing up for a supplement for because you have 8 months to sign up for Medicare after you leave your job. Yeah, but you only have 6 months to get a Medicare supplement. Oh, you forgot to tell me that. That would be a horrendous thing without medical underwriting. So I'm not ready to trust anything. I mean, maybe my calculator, but I'm serious. I'm not ready to trust any financial decision to AI. I used it for a column on something totally different about student loan and interest and da da da. And I went, I don't think that's right. Let me double check that. And it was wrong. So I'm impressed by it, but I'm not ready to rely on it
Yeah,
for
but
my
you like you
ability
like
or
you,
my
you did
finances.
like Alice.
Oh,
You were
no, all
pretty
right.
blown away by Alice. Tell us
Okay.
about
Who's
Alice.
Alice?
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote a column about this is I don't remember the context of it. E-health. This was about choosing
Yeah.
your supplement. And I was interviewing eHealth, which is online, ehealth.com, ehealthinsurance.com. And they are one of the couple of major marketplaces where they sell Medicare supplement insurance. Well, Medicare supplement insurance is state-based. And they said to me, we can't have people there around the clock switching you to Susie, who handles Arizona. I mean, they're a national company, or Joe, who's a certified agent to help you in New York. That's what they do. They switch you to knowledgeable people. So now, my pet peeve, by the way, is when I'm on a website and it says, you want to chat? No, I do not want to chat with you. Okay. You can answer with my question. Well, is this in stock? I'm sorry, that is not in the chat repertoire. I mean, it just really annoys me. So when they said they're using artificial intelligence agents, you get on the phone, you call, I don't remember the toll-free number, but go to ehealth.com and there's the toll-free number up there. And it answers. You swear you're talking to a real person. What are you calling about? It doesn't give you a menu of 4 things, and none of them is what you want.
And her name is
her name is Alice.
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 And I'm looking for Medicare supplement insurance. Oh, are you just signing up for Medicare? Yes, I'm just signing up. What state do you live in? Oh, I live in, Connecticut. And whatever it is, it follows you and it says, let me just check a couple of things. Are you currently insured? Are you still insured by your employer? It asks all these questions. You swear you're talking to a very intelligent 23-year-old charming girl. And then it says, hold just a moment and I'll connect you with Susan in Connecticut who can help you from here. And they're using this very successfully because even if you call in late at night, it triages you into a
All
call.
right. So now you're friends with Alice. Richard, sticking
Right.
to Medicare and the Social Security topic for just another minute for one
Yeah.
insight. You recently tested AI on Social Security and Medicare questions
Yeah.
for that column. What
Yeah.
did you find?
Well, this was interesting. I asked the same question to 7 chatbots, and I said, um, uh, I'm I'm deciding between Medicare, original Medicare, or private insurance companies Medicare Advantage. Which should I pick? And all 7 gave pretty good answers to what the difference is between original Medicare and Medicare Advantage. So they were very good at what Pam said is in distilling information and saying, well, here's how they work. But there were some mistakes in the answers and there were mistakes of omission. So, for example, Claude said just what Terry said before, which was that you have 8 months to buy a Medigap policy after you sign up for Part B. Actually, it's only 6 months. So that was wrong. But
Ugh.
the biggest problem was what I would call the error of omission, which is, and this was true for ChatGPT, for Microsoft Copilot, for DeepSeek, and for Meta AI from Meta or Facebook. They all made the same mistake, which is they did not say to me that, by the way, if you sign up for Medicare Advantage and then decide you want to switch back to traditional Medicare, you may not be able to get a Medigap policy. You may get turned down because of your age or your health. So, it could be a one-way decision. That's really important to know, and none of those told me that. So, yes, what I got was correct mostly, but what I wasn't told was very important to know.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's why we're doing this podcast because that's the real danger. AI can give you the rules. It can tell you a lot of things that you need to know, but yeah, leaving out critical information, especially on those kinds of topics. And again, for me, it's not it doesn't know my life, and it's gonna whatever it's gonna miss, it's gonna be really important because it's all gonna be important. What I've learned is, especially from advisors who are specializing in helping clients retire. These are fee-only advisors who I talk to every day, and I'm asking them all the time, how are you guys using AI? How are you guys helping your clients save money? How are you guys helping your clients have better conversations with you? I want to know what they're doing, and I want to make sure that they're not overly reliant. This is another one of the vetting criteria with a financial advisor. You don't want your advisor to become ChatGPT dependent and think they can grow their practice faster by bringing on more clients. AI is a taskmaster, just like any other sharp tool in your drawer. the financial advisor who's handling that knife has to know how and when to use AI to improve your outcomes. So right now, I'm going to bring in, you can see he's been waiting patiently, Jason Lilly.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Hey,
Jason.
Jason. Thanks for joining us. Listen, I've known Jason for like 20 years. He's has more than 25 years experience. He's a chartered financial analyst. He's a certified financial planner, founder of his own firm. And it's obviously, we talked about, it's fee only. And thank you so much for joining us. We all want to ask you some questions because we really want to know from your perspective the pros and the cons and the responsible way to use this sharp new tool in the drawer, this sharp new knife called AI to benefit your clients. So that's the first place to start, Jason, is just, and also just let everybody know the name of your firm and the fact that he's in my area, he's on the Cape.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you letting me be part of the conversation. I really do. Name of my firm is Tenere Wealth Advisors. And yeah, I am based on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And so, yeah, I am a huge fan of AI. I use it every day. I, started probably a little skeptically and did a lot of experimentation, but now it's probably the most valuable tool in my toolbox on a daily basis.
All right. So my first question to you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Terry and Richard, is I need to know just most importantly, you're going to talk about what to do and what not to do with AI, but give me what you would consider at this point the best thing that you found that helps your clients. I know it's going to help you save time. How is it helping your clients?
It helps me communicate much more effectively. Like, we're famous, financial advisors are famous for getting stuck in some of our acronyms, and that gets removed. So, in written communications, much simpler, much more effective, and the quality of those communications, I think, increases quite a bit.
Jason, if a client comes to you because they want you to help them solve a problem like claiming when to claim Social Security or choosing Medicare policy or investing in the right mutual funds or ETFs or stocks, whatever, how do you find that chat bots and AI can be helpful to get that answer for them? And how do you find that it can't be and you don't want to use it for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I think of the AI tools, I put them in a few different buckets. So communication, really powerful for me from a communication standpoint. We
Okay.
talk about that. Informational or data gathering. So when I put together my quarterly newsletters, I'll use an AI feature within the research software that I use. And I like that because it's a closed ecosystem. It's pulling from data feeds. There's a little bit more reliability there than like just a general ChatGPT or something like that. And then as far as like implementation or execution or strategy, hands off. I wouldn't rely on AI. I
Why
don't.
not? Why not?
Well, so in my experimentations, they're true. So if I said, all right, I'm working and I'm thinking about saving for retirement. What do you think the best options are for me, and how should I do that? Any of the AI engines are going to come back likely with a true answer of, yeah, that is a smart thing. You should be saving for retirement. And likely they'll be right in the sense they'll provide some additional information about, well, think about your employer's 401k, and they might even include about an employer match. They might talk about IRAs, maybe some Roths, and that could be generally right, but none of it is likely correct. We don't know how old this person is. We don't know if there's a Roth 401k option in the 401k. We don't know if they're actually employed or self-employed. There's
I don't know if
so
they're
many.
divorced. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So,
much more nuanced than that. So I would never rely on that final kind of implementation execution standpoint. But I used it the other day. I had a conversation with someone who was looking for some advice, just starting out, really small dollars, but the goal was within 10 years to save $500,000. I used Claude. Claude is one of my favorites.
Hmm?
And Claude put together this really dynamic illustration, and it was right. And it just showed, they had an initial amount of about $25,000 and what it would take in a savings based on compound. I used IVV, just typed it in, use historical returns of IVV, 10 years. They can save $20,000 a year. They've got $25,000 initially invested.
Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah, nice little graph, straightforward, easy to validate and verify that the data is clean. Took less than 10 minutes.
Mm.
And so, we can really kind of push down some of these services to that segment of the market that has historically been underserved.
Okay, so that's one
And
way. That's one way that it helps expand the clientele. But again, I'm going to hear you say it over and over with a disclaimer. I'm not relying on it because I'm talking to you. I'm not just talking to any Joe Schmo investment advisor who, might be relying on it. You're telling us you're not relying on it. But if AI is helping you work better, smarter, faster, I still want to know, is it going to make it less expensive in some way? Can this possibly help you reduce your fees if it's helping you have better conversations with clients, spot trends, collect data, onboard clients faster, all the kinds of back office tasks. Can that translate into a savings for the client on fees?
I think it can. Yeah, I think it will. I think it'll save clients on fees, and it'll also allow better, deeper conversations in client segments that have historically been underserved. We can, serve them now and serve them effectively instead of, spending 30 minutes to 60 minutes trying to kind of build this answer to them. That's done in less than 10. The other 50 minutes are talking about goals, aspirations, fears, concerns, etc. That's really where the impact comes from, because it's building a plan is great, but implementing and sticking with it is the key, is essential.
I
10
hope
years from
that
now.
I hope that happens because there are a lot of middle income Americans who would like a financial advisor and find that the advisors don't want them in many cases because they don't have enough money for them. So if this is going to help them get an advisor, I think that's great. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Terry?
I want to ask you one quick question about your outlook, Jason.
Sure.
Do you foresee a time, whether it's a year, 2 years, or 3 years, where the nightmare scenario comes true? I mean, I've said earlier, we don't need law clerks anymore because AI will gather the info. I mean, I think that's what law clerks did, So maybe we don't even need brokerage research analysts because the knowledge is there. It's public. Do you foresee a time when we won't need people as in investment advisors?
Never.
I
Never.
hoped you'd say that.
Never. No, because what we do is it's the human connection that will never be replaced. I've been in this business a long time, and I've been in management roles, and what I always say to my teams is we earn our keep when things are the most challenging.
Yep.
It's sticking to the plan. And an AI assistant is not going to provide that resilience, that investment composure, that one-to-one connection that makes it feel, all right, we're going to get through this. Because
And
ultimately we do.
I can
I
vouch
cannot hold your hand.
Yeah, and I can vouch for the quality of your output, but it's really hard for a layperson to judge the quality of the output of the financial plan that comes from a certified financial planner because they all look the same on the surface. So, what do you want to kind of say to kind of help warn people about advisors who may use AI as a way to cut corners?
Potentially. I think I guess I have a more optimistic view. I mean, I got into this business to help people. I'm more, purpose driven. I started my career at Vanguard, and Jack Bogle is really the one who kind of he didn't intentionally do this, but I heard him talk when I was very young and impressionable, and it made it. I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my career, and I feel like this profession draws a lot of people that a lot of advisors that are more purpose built. We do this, there's a mission behind what we do. Now that's not everyone, I get it. In like the credentials, CFP, if you're going through that program, you're going to come away with a lot of knowledge, and B, it's a pretty expensive time commitment, and so you've got to be invested. And so,
Let's talk about where there are the things that people need to watch out for with red flags, because it exists. And I disagree with you.
they do.
I
All
don't
right.
think there are most advisors that are altruistic. But what can go wrong, Jason, with advisors using AI?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot could go wrong. Like in my experimentations, like the other day, I was just playing around, and well, actually, I'll give you a real example. So I did my July newsletter, and I typed in, okay, how many all-time highs for S&P 500 in July? And I did it over 3 different days, different engines, and I got 6 different answers. 3 of those 6 were actually
Well, that's really helpful.
were right, but 3 were inaccurate. So yeah, super interesting. And so if you're relying on AI to do the heavy lifting, you're going to be in trouble. The issue, Pam, which is a really good one, is the client won't necessarily know. I use an example of cooking. Like if I used AI to create a recipe for me for dinner tonight, I'm not going to know if there's 2 or 3 missing ingredients because I'm not a cook. That's not my thing. My wife is an amazing cook. She pick up on that. And if in that recipe it said, put in a cup of salt, I may say, that seems like a lot. Might pick up the phone and call someone. Would someone, does a cup of salt seem like a lot for for a recipe? Someone might say, yeah, that's not right. But generally, I'm not going to know what's missing. And so with our clients, they might not know what's really missing from that plan if an advisor doesn't hold themselves up to that kind of higher standard.
What would someone ask that would be a good question about how the advisor uses AI? Give me like a couple of good questions that consumers can ask the advisor.
Is AI a regular part of your daily work, and how do you use it? And if they're responding somewhere to the extent of, oh yeah, I used it to build portfolios, it can do that. I've tested it. It's not good. I would never
No bueno.
rely.
What if the advisor says, yeah, I'll take all the information you give me and then I'm going to give it to AI and they're going to create this great financial plan that I'm going to give to you. Is that a problem for people, or is that a good idea?
Well, so the first immediate red flag would be, okay, my personal information is going to be shared with no. That's number 1 red flag.
Okay, good.
Run for the door right there. If any advisor is typing in any personal information whatsoever into any of these engines, that's a big red flag. That's a big no-no.
Got it.
That's useful.
Yeah.
Wait, that's really useful, Jason. Let me just focus in on that. I hadn't thought about that. Now, Mrs. Smith comes in and she's 63 and thinking about retirement. She's got $512,000 in her 401k. So, she's 55 and she's married and this is what she has. What's the fear? That he uses all those statistical things in his AI model, or that he ties her name, Mrs. Susan Smith, and by the way, since he's keeping track, her address and social security number go in there too. What doesn't go into the AI? How does a client say, wait?
All of the other. So something like Alice S. or A. Smith or something like that, 55, 10 years to retirement, had 100,000 in savings, wants to accumulate $1 million, or however you're
Yeah.
looking at the analysis. Very general.
Yeah.
There's no way to identify or to kind of hone in on geographic location or anything like that.
Right.
But if you're including full names, addresses, or a social security number or account number, or even like banks with JP Morgan, where's no.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Jason,
you.
I would say no. I would
yeah,
never do anything
okay.
like
No personal information. Beyond that,
Yep.
I'm going to tell you right now that the red flags for me, if I'm talking to you and you're the advisor and I'm interviewing you, I'm going to ask you, describe for me, how much do you rely on AI for financial planning to draft my financial plan? What's the right answer, real quick, and what's the wrong answer that gives the red flag?
For me, I would say the answer would be somewhere around 10%.
Right, but what's so the right answer is around 10%. And so the wrong answer would be, and
Is
tell me why.
anything above 20%. And the reason being, so I would use AI to help with my executive summary, which is, roughly, it's only a page of my 100-page report, but it's the most important page because it's the only page likely that my client is going to refer back to. So we want to make that good, and AI can help me make that good. But the actual, engine around the planning and, all the sophisticated calculations, there isn't an AI tool open to the general public that can do that effectively. In my limited opinion, I would never use it.
And as Carrie Bradshaw would say, what did she used to say?
And just like that.
Now you nailed it. So now we really know, and just like that, where to draw the line. That, to me, is very helpful for people to know. It's a real red flag if the advisor you're talking to or interviewing is saying, bragging and boasting about how much they depend on AI, and you ask that question, are you doing it to the tune of more than 10%? And oh yeah, that's a red flag. That's really important for us to know about where we are right now. So I'm going to wrap up 3 quick takeaways. If you've been curious about AI and using it for your money, use it to explore, use it to research. Do not rely on it to make life-changing decisions without human review. A human who will not rely on it more than 10%. A fiduciary fee-only advisor might be using AI like Jason to save time and reduce back office and even reduce costs. But still, at the end of the day, it's got to be the judgment calls that come from the advisor that protect your future. And AI, thirdly, is like that super smart friend who talks really fast and sounds really convincing. Just remember, they don't have the whole story. They are often wrong. And so AI is great for sparking ideas, running numbers, and saving some time. Given what Jason's just shared, AI is great for making, I guess I want to say, making decisions with you side by side, but not for you when it comes to your money. And this might change. 2 years from now, we might be having a different conversation, but this is today.
Well stated.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Pam, you're so good.
everybody. Yeah.
You're
Thank you
so good.
Thanks for chatting.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. And thanks to everybody for listening. And we will see you next time on Friends Talk Money. Friends Talk Money is funded in part by a grant from the Investor Protection Trust. The IPT is a nonprofit organization devoted to investor education. Since 1993, the IPT has worked with the states to provide the independent, objective investor education needed by all Americans to make informed investment decisions. Visit investorprotection.org. We also receive support from the North American Securities Administrators Association, known as NASA. It's the oldest international investor protection organization. NASA's members include state and provincial securities regulators from the U.S., Canada, and Mexico who serve on the front lines of investor protection. Recognizing that education and awareness are powerful tools in the fight against investment fraud, NASA is pleased to sponsor Friends Talk Money.
Here are 3 important tips to help you protect your money from fraud. With investing, there are always risks, so be cautious of anybody telling you that a certain investment is guaranteed. You should also proceed with caution if somebody is promising very large investment returns. This is a common red flag for investment fraud. Last and most importantly, be sure you're working with a licensed or registered financial professional. You can check your advisor and make sure they're licensed by visiting brokercheck.finra.org. NASA is your partner in keeping you safe and helping you avoid investment frauds. Visit nasa.org and click on the Investor Education tab to learn more.